Hi, my name is Ariel from the Children of Karma, and today I'd like to discuss the Uranus and Neptune conjunction in the sign of Capricorn. This occurred during November of 1988 to 1996. So this group of people, they are the practical visionaries, the practical dreamers. They're responsible for bringing their dreams into reality, a grounded form of spirituality, for example. And they're juggling responsibility with the Capricorn, and they're also balancing it with the compassion of Neptune, the innovation of Uranus. They are creators, they're inventors. There are many unique creative talents in this group. There's, you can see it with social media even today, with the art, the music, the dance, creativity, the astrology, for example, alternative ways of healing. You see so many different forms of healing now, and more people are accepting of this because this group is coming into adulthood. They are adults. So now they are making changes based on their inner astrology, and this is one that affects the entire generation, right? But there are certain people who will have this conjunction in a very important place in their chart, and they're also a part of the collective and moving the collective forward in this way, like an inventor, like a creator, like reform, changing the system, really uprooting it and building another one. You see there are alternative forms of spirituality as well. This is something that I've always needed to connect to because I have this aspect, it's conjunct my IC. The Uranus is closer to the IC, and then it's also conjunct the North Node, and the Neptune is closer to the North Node. So it's like sandwiched in between, and so this is very tricky. So I'm constantly balancing the detachment with wanting to bind, wanting to fuse, and having this ideal environment, this ideal society. As far as spirituality is concerned, I've always wanted to find a connection, but I was never able to connect to the conventional forms of religion because with this aspect, you also deal with a mistrust of the authority figures in your life. And there's also the Pluto and Scorpio generation, which we also already have this. So it's and you can see a lot of the corruption underneath the surface. When I was recovering from my surgeries, this is when I really needed the support from spirit. And so I had to force myself to find another way to connect, to find the unity. We're all connected somehow, and I just had to find my place in it, and where do I belong, and do I have a place here? Do I belong? Uranus is about the need for belonging, and if we have this Uranus in an important part of our chart, it can be that we deal with the wound of belonging. I needed to connect to an army, an army of spirits, and I began just individually with myself, creating my own army within myself, with my insight, my intuition, and my instinct, being three separate parts of self, connecting with them in different parts of the body. This group has a freedom of expression that's really inspiring to other generations because they're not bound by societal norms, traditions, the regular standards. They have a wild imagination, and they're trendsetters. The Neptune, sometimes there's the maladaptive daydreaming. But in the sign of Capricorn, I feel like sometimes the daydreaming, the distractions, there's a place for it. Sometimes it's necessary. Having to endure like such a long recovery process after my surgeries and 9 surgeries, I realized there is a time and place for distraction. When you're going through acute pain, that's a great time for distraction. And once you get to a place where the pain subsides a little, you can ground yourself, ground yourself in really what's going on. You can really put yourself in a totally different world sometimes. With this aspect, it's rebellious with Uranus, it's scandalous with Neptune, and it can be, you are a catalyst energy, you're inspiring other generations, you're shaking up your own generation, getting them activated to get moving. Something I see with this aspect is like protesting humanitarian rights. We see that a lot with this generation, always protesting, and you care about the impact that you're having on society, on the planet. We are a very compassionate group, but sometimes we can be a rebel without a cause. If badly aspected, this can show a denial of responsibility, avoiding accountability altogether, and it's tricky with Capricorn, and depending on where you have it in your chart, it can feel like you carry a heavy burden of responsibility. And with this, sometimes as we get older, we don't want to take on any more responsibility. It's over, it's done, I already put in my dues, it's time for me to relax. And this group really wants a government that's accountable for their actions. They don't want to deal with these lies anymore. Manipulation and lies is a form of Neptune. Sometimes we can even delude ourselves about the situation that's going on here. And we need that Uranus energy of detachment in order to really see clearly. There's scientific and technological advancements also with this group. It's a very exciting generation, really. But wanting to change, reform, change the system, and depending on where we have it in our chart, what house, that will be where you want to reform and change everything. I have it in my 4th house, so about the family, ancestry, the home. And if you think about it, each of us having this in different parts of our chart, where we are uprooting the system individually in our own little worlds. And through social media, we're seeing how, wow, the change is really, really powerful aspect here. Maybe feeling like there's a way for us to heal ourselves. I've been feeling this definitely in a pull towards the self-healing, and how can we use our mind and body connection to further healing. And having something like chronic pain, it gives me the ability to test these things out on myself. As long as the pain is still there, I will keep trying. And what I've been learning about, for example, Neptune, is hypnosis. The ways that our mind is still working as we're sleeping, for example, with sleep hypnosis. This is something I tried after my last surgery. I knew at that point, after 9 surgeries, that my mind had to be the strongest part of me to handle the pain at any moment. Your emotions can really take hold, and the pain creates a lot of frustration, a lot of fatigue. So sleep hypnosis was a way for me to train my mind while I was sleeping. The brain is still learning as we're sleeping, so I think I might as well use that time to help myself while I'm awake. And it did something within, it definitely did. And even while I was recovering from that 9th surgery, I would listen to those tapes throughout the day and kind of put myself into a trance to get through it. And I do I have learned, like, through hypnosis, we can stop bleeding. We can get our blood to clot. And so there are things that our mind is capable of that we've not yet discovered. So, and I believe this generation is really, really passionate about finding that out. So I'm really excited to be a part of that. And thank you guys for watching this video, and I'd love to see you at thechildrenofkarma.com. There are a lot of astrological services there, the ancestral pattern service as well as there, and fixed stars and Arabic parts are there as well as empowerment coaching, mindfulness coaching. So I'd love to see you there, and don't forget to like the video. Thanks. Bye.